Chixia is the first main DPS you get for free at the start of the game. And in this video, I'll explain how to build and play her so you can clear the Tower of Adversity.
Catch and learn!
Chixia is a fusion main DPS, using pistols as her main weapon whilst mostly dealing resonance skill damage. First, let's quickly get her intro skill out of the way. Chixia's intro skill deals a bit of damage whilst granting 15 forte points. Chixia's basic attack string consists of a 4-hit combo, with the last shot dealing a lot of damage. The first basic attack grants 1 forte stack, the second grants 2 forte stacks, the third grants 4, and the final basic attack grants 5 forte points. And finally, her dodge attack. This one deals even more damage than basic 4 and grants 5 forte points. Chixia's resonance skill, Whizzing Fight Spirit, deals a total of 254% attack, whilst also generating 25 forte stacks. This ability has 2 charges and regenerates 1 charge every 9 seconds, and when you use it, you will gain 10 concerto energy. Chixia's Liberation,
Catch and learn!
Blazing Flames, deals 11 hits, each dealing 58% attack, with a final hit dealing 954% attack. All of these hits can hit multiple targets around her, and this does not give Chixia forte stacks, unless you have S4. Then, after using your Liberation, Chixia will gain 60 forte stacks whilst resetting her resonance skill cooldown. This Liberation has one of the highest scalings out of any 4-star character so far, but sadly this does come with a cost, that being 150 resonance energy. But once you can cast this ability, you will gain 20 concerto energy for it. Now for the main part of her kit, her Forte Circuits. After unlocking her first inherent skill, Chixia's Forte bar can have a total of 70 stacks. She can consume these stacks by holding down her skill button when your resonance skill is not on cooldown. After holding it, you will use a skill charge whilst also entering her finger gun state. After entering her finger gun state, she will automatically shoot Forte bullets, with each bullet consuming 1 Forte point. After consuming at least 30 Forte points, you can use her basic attack to deal a final big hit, dealing 337% attack. All of the damage dealt here is counted as resonance skill damage. Now, for a quick TLDR, you can gain Forte points by either using her intro skill, using her basic attacks, using her resonance skill, or, if you have S4, by using her resonance liberation. Now for her inherent skills. The first one will increase the maximum amount of Forte stacks to 70, whilst also increasing your Forte's big hit damage by 50%. As for the second, it will increase your attack by 1% for every Forte bullet you shoot. These stacks last for 10 seconds and have a maximum of 30 stacks. As for your leveling priorities, first you want to level your Forte circuit, followed directly by your resonance liberation. After that, you can level your resonance skill and basic attacks. These both do a bit of extra damage, but aren't necessarily needed to be leveled. And finally, you can level your intro skill. Only level this if you love Chixia. Otherwise, you can leave this at level 1. Let's start with the Static Mist, the standard 5-star pistols. It grants 587 base attack with 24.3% crit rate, as well as 12.8% energy recharge and a supportive buff, giving the incoming resonator 10% attack. The base and substats are good, but the passive is kind of wasted, not buffing her personal damage. Let's baseline this weapon at 100%. Now, let's talk about the Thunderbolt, the Battle Pass exclusive weapon. This weapon has low base attack, that being 387 attack, and it does also come with 36.4% attack instead of crit. But the passive makes this weapon really good. After hitting an enemy with a basic or heavy attack, increase your resonance skill damage by 7 up to 23% based on refinements, with a maximum of 3 stacks. At R5, this passive will increase your resonance skill damage by a nice 69%. And because of this, the Thunderbolt will have a power rating of 112%. And finally, you have the Undying Flame. With 412 base attack and 30.3% attack, this weapon has a little bit higher base attack than the Thunderbolt, but the passive is slightly worse. After using your intro skill, increase your resonance skill damage by 20 up to 40% based on refinements for 15 seconds. This weapon is also pretty good, and if you have it at R5, it will have a power rating of 101%. As you can see, the static mist is actually the worst one on the list. But don't worry, it's still really good. Of course, if you only have an R1 Undying Flame or an R1 Thunderbolt, the static mist will be better than both of them.
It's morphin' time.
For your echoes, you want to use the Molten Rift set. This set gives a total of 40% fusion damage bonus, 10% from the 2-piece bonus and 30% for 15 seconds from the 5-piece bonus after using a resonant skill. This is by far the best set on Chixia. For your active echo, you want to use the Inferno Rider. The Inferno Rider's echo skill deals a fair amount of damage, and after that, he will increase both your fusion and basic attack damage bonus by 12% for 15 seconds. I recommend you get at least 65% crit rate in total. For the main sets of your echoes, I recommend crit rate or crit damage on your 4 cost, fusion damage bonus on your 3 costs, and attack percent on your 1 cost. As for the substats, I recommend crit rate and crit damage, resonance skill damage bonus, attack percent, and finally, resonance liberation damage bonus.
Attack is the best defense.
Chixia has 3 teammates she can use, which increase her personal damage by quite a bit. If we're purely talking about buffs, Tauchi will be the best teammate for Chixia. But since Tauchi's fuel time is longer than usual and her damage is lower than average, I would not recommend her as the number 1 pick. Although she is a great option for someone who is free to play. But number 1 is definitely reserved for Changli. Changli deals a good amount of damage, whilst increasing the incoming resonator's fusion damage by 20% and a resonance liberation bonus by 25%. As for the final teammate, we have Chixia. Chixia's auto skill increases glacier damage by 20%, which is pretty useless, but she does give 25% resonance skill damage bonus. And besides giving 25% skill damage bonus, she also has pretty decent damage, as well as off-field coordinated attacks.
Time for some hot action.
Chixia's sequences are pretty good, most of them buffing her own damage in some kind of way. Sequence 1 will make it so that her big forte hit will always crit, making sure you can stack up on a little bit more crit damage than normally. Sequence 2 will give 5 liberation energy for every enemy killed by your liberation, with a maximum of 4 enemies. Overall, this one's pretty good, giving your liberation more often whilst fighting smaller enemies. Sequence 3 increases her liberation damage by 40% to enemies below 50% HP. Sequence 4 enhances Chixia's resonance liberation. Now, it will grant her 60 forte points, whilst also resetting the cooldown of her resonance skill. This sequence increases Chixia's damage by quite a bit, whilst also shortening her on-field time. Sequence 5 increases Chixia's attack by an additional 30% after reaching maximum stacks on her second inherent skill. And finally, Sequence 6. This sequence will increase the basic attack damage from your party by 25% for 15 seconds after using her forte big hit. This is decent for sub-DCSs like Tauchi and Chixia, and makes her a bit more future-proof to use as a dual DPS.
Leave it to me.
I think Chixia is pretty fun to play. She is vulnerable to hits and multiple high health enemies are a slight problem, but she mows down bosses with her forte circuit. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, may I recommend the video on the screen right now. I appreciate you all. Bye bye.